Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint podcast. I'm Miles here with Ben. Ben, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, doing great, and yeah, we got some basketball to watch. The young guys in the summer league. We'll talk a bit about that later, at least, which is good.
That's right. And I hope you all had a fun July 4th weekend. It felt like a lot of the NBA teams and front office guys had a pretty decent weekend because there wasn't a whole lot of action that happened over the weekend to talk about. But we do have some storylines to talk about here today. Of course, we still have LeBron James, an update on the whole LeBron James free agency sweepstakes, and we do have a trade to talk about, and we also are going to start a new thing here on the podcast, which we're going to do a little bit later. So stay tuned for all that. But to start off, we've got Poeltl. Ben, who should we guess for our first player for Poeltl today?
Um, we're gonna do Anthony Simons, just sign with 76ers.
All right, but unfortunately, it is not updated yet. So Poeltl, you got to get back on your game. But
Mm,
this is huge because this number here is highlighted, which means it's either the number 1 or the number 0 for a player that's in his 30s that is a forward or a center. So,
yeah, that's
this
pretty
is
good for us.
this is pretty good. Number 1 or number 0, not in the Central Division, so we can cut out obviously the Bulls, the Pistons, the Cavs, the Pacers, and let's see who this could be on the Bucks as well. Number 1 or number 0 in their 30s. We could totally
Oh,
get this
could be
into.
Andre Drummond possibly. I
I was
think
thinking that too, but I do not remember what number he wore. Was it the number 1?
uh Yeah, it might have been one. I think it was right below two, something like that.
I think it was 1 because 0 is Tyrese Maxey. I'm just looking around the rest of the
Yeah.
league. Drummond was the first guy I thought of too, so I think that's the guy. Let's try him out. Drummond, someone that we're going to talk about a little bit later. He should technically still be on the Sixers in this. Oh, but it's
Oh,
not him. We did have everything correct about it except the actual player. So number 0 in the Southeast Division. Let's see. Atlanta, Orlando, Charlotte, Miami, Washington. What?
huh.
Let me highlight these teams and let me lock in. Atlanta, Orlando, Charlotte, Miami, Washington. Number 0. I believe number 0 in Washington is Bilal Coulibaly.
Like the Miles
Orlando, I
Bridges board zero back in Charlotte. This thing isn't totally updated yet.
there's no way he's 30 though.
Yeah, that's why I'm not totally sure. He was like the only player I thought of, maybe, but
No, you're right though. That's not
30.
bad. Let me think of Miami Heat. Who number 0 on the Heat?
Yeah, I don't know zero on the Heat.
Goodness gracious.
Oh,
Is
wow.
0 on the Heat Simone Fontecchio? I
Uh,
I don't know if he's
I don't
number
think
0, but
so. All right.
I don't think so either. I know he was double
Think
digits on his
so.
other teams, but I think he wore a different number with the Heat. Orlando, Atlanta. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I mean, we'll try both the guesses. I guess we'll try Miles. He's there's. I'll try Simone, and we'll see. If not, then we'll try something else. Oh, and it is.
Oh, it is. Wow.
We got him. All right. Thank goodness. We ended up getting Simone Fontecchio in 3. One of our better ones in a while. Simone Fontecchio in 3. But let's get going with talking about Updates, I guess, from the July 4th weekend. And again, there aren't a whole lot of things, but I think it is probably only right that we do start by talking about LeBron James and the update on the whole saga. We still have no idea where he's going to sign yet. There's been no actual real, there have been obviously rumors and some reportings and things like that, but pretty much anyone who's saying something is saying it off of guesses and assumptions and not actually what is real right now, because the only people that know what's actually going on aren't saying anything really right now. The only thing that we got over the last few days was Rich Paul was on Max Kellerman's podcast, and during the podcast he showed a whiteboard that showed a bunch of NBA teams with their lineups and different pros and cons about different options for LeBron and all that. That was certainly interesting, Ben. And then after that, we did get we have what we kind of knew before, that there are 6 teams leading the way. We know that the 3 front runners are the Golden State Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Miami Heat. But then the 3 kind of wild card teams are the Sixers, the Timberwolves, and the Denver Nuggets. So, Ben, with all that, with the whiteboard and then these 6 front-runner teams for the King, what are your thoughts on this craziness? Because we've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, it was interesting. I it was a surprise to me, but it's cool to look at. And yeah, I watched what Rich Paul saying about the different teams, LeBron, and I mean, I think Philadelphia is more so up there as like towards like a front runner team with what they've done, and I think LeBron, has a good relationship with Mike Gansey because, well, they both played high school basketball around the same time in Northeast Ohio, different teams, but around the same age. Rich Paul seemed to have some praise for the 76ers. He seemed to have some with the Cavs for front office guys like Brandon Weems, who also, went to the same high school as LeBron and was in the Cavs front office. And yeah, he did, have symbols next to his Clutch Sports clients. I think he was just showing respect to them, I guess, with that. And yeah, it's cool seeing what the process is like. Though I think, those are the ideas Rich Paul has down, and he's, you know, trying to, still to see the team's exact interest, and then he's gonna let LeBron know, and LeBron will make a decision of some sort. Though, I mean, I do, like the Cavs' chances still. I wouldn't be surprised if he signed with us. He's been around in Akron for a while, and I've seen some videos and just the general Cleveland stuff. He has seemed to be really happy, and so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff I don't think will have anything to do with the actual signing, because every summer he comes back to Akron and does events like that for his foundation, which those same individuals are at every year. So that's yeah, but I mean, of course, since it's happening now, it makes you think like, oh boy, LeBron knows what he's doing, and he's in the spotlight. It really, we don't talk about the history of it and how incredible it is that still at his age, he's about to go into year 24 next season, and he still is holding up the league with his decision. Like, Ben, you were saying the way that you think it would go with Rich Paul letting LeBron know which teams are interested. I guarantee you it's the other way around, because the entire league is still held up because they're waiting to hear what LeBron is going to do. Like, all these teams that are in the front runners with the Warriors, the Cavs, the Sixers, like the teams that we've talked about, none of them are able to really do anything until they know if they have to add LeBron James to their roster right now. So I think that's the biggest reason why in today's episode there's not a ton of crazy news to talk about. It's because LeBron still hasn't signed yet. And it really is cool that we are getting kind of the vision with all of this. Like, this is it's very, very interesting that it seems like those 5 teams in the middle, like those, I mean, they're in the middle for a reason, you would think. And then the outliers. I love the Dallas Mavericks are in there. Dallas and Masai Ujiri with oil, golf. Like
What is that?
it's crazy. But yeah, it certainly is exciting. I think that right now at this current moment, I everyone out there right now on social media, every media member, every fan base that has a chance to get LeBron is kind of going at each other, pointing out the flaws of every single team and why their team is the best place to have him. And here's the deal: none of the team we none of these teams that LeBron are looking to go to just won the championship. Obviously, there's only one team that wins the title. Now, that was interesting that Rich Paul said that if New York hadn't won the title, then LeBron would have 100% gone there. I don't believe that. I think he said it because what does he lose in saying that? It's not like he can be proven wrong or anything like that because it already happened. In that case, but every single one of these teams is going to have pros and cons with actually winning a title and LeBron fitting in with each team. Every team has their pros and cons with it. It's just about which team do you think will be able to overcome those with LeBron James on their roster. And at this current moment in time, I do think that the Cavs present the best opportunity for him. Ben, I know you were predicting it, and we've both been hoping that he could make his return. Do you think that the Cavs present the best chance for LeBron James to try to win another title or get far in the playoffs, or do you think it's another one of these teams that are in the front runners?
Yeah, I mean, I think LeBron be a great fit here, but I mean, if he went to Philadelphia, though, he could possibly have a better chance. Though, I mean, there's a lot of praise with the Cavs with it being his hometown and stuff, and I mean, he could compete right up there with the 76ers, I think, if he went to the Cavs. So, I'm gonna keep sticking with it. Predicting LeBron to the Cavs, unless if I see something leaning completely otherwise. But um, yeah, he has really holded things up, and um, yeah, the Cavs. I mean, they've definitely seemed to hold up. The 76ers have made some big moves already. LeBron would just be an even more bonus, even after great moves they made. But the Cavs, I mean, they've seemed to you know, be cheap with stuff, and they lost Dean Wade, which is a tough loss. They seem to be possibly banking on trying to get LeBron, or if somehow he didn't come back, it could be a bust for the Cavs, is what I'm noticing with our team's situation.
Yeah, and I mean it's that case as well because of just how expensive they are. And there aren't a whole lot of transactional things that they can do to get better. But I mean, look, I mean, even if after we go through however long it is, if it's tomorrow, the next few weeks, another month until we hear if LeBron James is going back to Cleveland or going to another team, I already know that whatever happens, if it's to the Cavs or if it's not to any of these other teams or anything like that, the fan bases of the teams that don't get him that had a chance are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, what are you guys doing? Why did we hold up our offseason so we didn't have a chance?" Dude, you have to do it. I'm not going to be faulting the Cavs whatsoever even if LeBron doesn't come and they have a legit chance to bring him back, So in my opinion, I think it'll be very silly if, fans are it might be a loss of an offseason for the Cavs, but not because they didn't try. It's because they tried to sign LeBron James. And I think that some fan bases are going to be feeling, that it was a loss of an offseason because they weren't able to get him and they held up their offseason to do it. But to me, you have to do it. It's a risk absolutely worth taking for LeBron James, who even heading into year 24 is still an elite player in today's game.
Yeah, I would say it's it for teams, and the Warriors. I mean, they're another team holding things up. I'm hoping LeBron randomly wants to join the rival, though. That's the one team I wouldn't be too happy with LeBron if he joined them. I know it'd be fun with Steph, but be just odd if he was celebrating that Cavs championship on a trip, and he did that. Though I, I think the Warriors probably not now, but who knows? And we're still are not completely out of it yet. And yeah, and there's the Miami Heat. I know Giannis likes LeBron a lot. I mean, Giannis outside of him, I mean, he's mentioned LeBron's one of his more favorite players to watch, and LeBron has a good connections in Miami. I mean, that's not completely out of the case yet, and I mean, it'd be a huge bonus for Miami with them trying to compete if LeBron somehow wanted to go back there. But yeah, it'd be crazy seeing LeBron and Giannis on the same team if that happened. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, any of these, it would be absolutely crazy. I mean, just the if LeBron and Giannis were together, if LeBron and Steph were together, if LeBron and Harden were together, if LeBron and Anthony Edwards were together, LeBron and Jokic, everyone with the same, like all these are just insane possibilities. I mean, if I had to, at this point in time, give my thoughts on the potential fits with these teams, and I've done it. I don't know if I've done it before on the podcast, but I've done it with, off the podcast. I don't really like the fit in Miami. I honestly don't. I think that that's a kind of a tough fit with the front court personnel that they have in Miami, where you have Giannis and Bam, who are front court players, but very unique in the sense that they both operate with the ball in their hands, very similar to LeBron. Like they're both kind of players that on offense kind of operate very similar to LeBron. And all three of those guys together as guys that you'll live with shooting the three on a team that already doesn't have the best 3-point shooting. I personally just don't really like the fit in Miami, but I know a lot of people that say otherwise, but personally, I just don't really like it. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do agree with you on the fit in Miami. I fought for that before, and I agree with the points you said with that. I think you know Cle- Cleveland, he would definitely be a better fit. Hopefully not the Warriors, but I possibly fit better there. And Minnesota, he could come right in at the free or on Denver. Yeah, you're right. There's just other teams. If he picked them, he would just fit them better. So yeah, I can agree to that.
Yeah, I guess what I would say is for the best fit in a basketball sense, I would probably say the Warriors because Steph Curry thrives when he's off the ball. LeBron can play the Draymond Green role to, perfection. And with Porzingis and Al Horford as his centers spacing the floor, that would be awesome. Again, I don't think it would lead to winning, but I think from a pure basketball sense, that could make the most sense for most fun and entertaining to watch. But for his best chance to win, I do think it is the Cavs because, I mean, they did just make the Eastern Conference Finals with this roster, and adding LeBron James to essentially fill in Dean Wade's role. I mean, oh my goodness, that would be absolutely incredible. And the Sixers too. I think the Sixers would be a phenomenal fit. Where I am wondering what LeBron is thinking about between the Cavs and the Sixers, if those are his two front runners in the Eastern Conference. It's like which I guess, kind of scary risk is worth taking if you're LeBron in this situation, as far as for actually former MVPs, that you'd be joining with that have rough playoff histories. With Philadelphia, you have, of course, Joel Embiid, who obviously is super good when he plays. It sometimes when he plays in the playoffs, it really, he can struggle and have some rough games. But you just think for LeBron that's going to be wanting to win a title in probably this season, if this year is his final season, can you trust in playing with Joel Embiid when over the last 3 years he's played in a combined 92 games in 3 years? I don't know. Even though that might be the best combination of a basketball fit and a chance to win. But if Embiid is the center and you can only pencil him in for 30 games, I don't know if that's as great of a fit as Cleveland, where, I mean, James Harden, of course, we know the playoff history has certainly been well, documented. But again, the Cavs just made the Eastern Conference Finals, and the four guys, the core four guys, all have a decent history of making it through the season. So I think as far as having your team healthy to go, I think the Cavs present the best opportunity. But it's like I said at the top of this, every team presents their own pros and cons. And I think through all of that, I think the two best options are the Cavs and the Sixers. And I'd personally pick Cleveland because of you don't have as much of the injury scare as you do with Joel Embiid on the Sixers.
Yeah, like Harden's getting older, but yeah, I mean, I was that impressed with him during the playoffs last year, but he can at least stay healthy. And I mean, I think LeBron could help out Harden a bit with the floor spacing and stuff. They get along good. I think they like each other, those guys. So I mean, yeah, I think LeBron could possibly be considering that. Like, I'm sure he likes Embiid, but yeah, it could get tough on him with him being older. Then could be just a pain to him having the things changing constantly because of Embiid's injury thing, possibly stuff. Who knows? And yeah, they're at least more reliable. And the Cavs, the other key guys staying healthy. So it's a good point. It could play a big part possibly in why he ends up coming back home with the Cavs. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and look, if it's one of those two teams, it's kind of I talked about this with the Sixers in the last pod, talking about the Jaylen Brown trade. If LeBron went to the Sixers, and you would make the safe case that LeBron James is their fourth best player, that's LeBron being their fourth best player sounds incredible. And then even lower on the list for the Cavs, if one of Harden, Mobley, or Allen is their fifth best player, I mean, these are just juggernauts in the East. I mean, I think that NBA fans, for just the craziness of the offseason, I mean, and specifically the Eastern Conference, how wild it is, should hope that LeBron James does go back to Cleveland so that we continue to have this craziness with all these competitive East teams getting better. We already have, again, the Sixers getting Jaylen Brown, the Raptors getting Kawhi, the Heat getting Giannis. If you add LeBron going back to a Cavs team that just made the conference finals, with the Magic having a new head coach, the Wizards getting Trae Young and Anthony Davis, of course, the Knicks just went on their title run. The Pistons just won 60 games. I mean, this might be the greatest Eastern Conference that we have seen in a long time, and I don't want to overreact and say have ever seen, but I feel like we're going in the direction where this might be the best Eastern Conference that the league has ever seen. We're the eighth, ninth best teams. We could make a prediction at the beginning of the season and make an argument. If things broke right for them, they could win a few rounds in the playoffs. The East is so deep.
Yeah, it's looking to be deep. And yeah, I mean, for the parity thing, yeah, absolutely. If LeBron went to the Cavs, that would be great. I thought that too. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Now, another thing that's interesting, I guess, with this whole LeBron saga is we did get an interesting free agent update regarding one of the teams looking to maybe sign LeBron James, and that was regarding the Golden State Warriors, who, again, are one of these teams that are holding up their cap space and holding up their free agency moves to try to, stay in the LeBron sweepstakes. But restricted free agent backup center Quentin Post, again, restricted free agent, signed a 3-year, $30 million offer sheet with the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, what that means is that the Warriors have a chance to match the contract. They have until 11:59 p.m. tonight on Tuesday night to match this 3-year, $30 million deal. But if they match the contract, then in theory that holds up more money that could go to Mr. LeBron James. So It's kind of like classic free agency. We haven't seen this in a long time, where you have a lottery team looking to steal a player from a playoff or a hopeful playoff team here. And Quentin Post is a good player here, Ben. What do you think the Warriors are going to end up doing here with this Quentin Post situation?
Yeah, I think the Warriors' chances have grown lower with LeBron. I mean, I think that team still has some optimism. Maybe it happens because of how much LeBron likes Steph, but um, yeah, that was an interesting report. I mean, look, even if they match the thing with Post somehow, I don't think that would change too much because LeBron, he'd be willing to take a minimum. He's just gonna want to go wherever he's happy at, and I hope it's not Golden State, like I said. But if he's somehow wanting to go there, is happy there, he still could take a minimum there somehow. So, like, it, it's sort of a tricky spot with Golden State. They'll obviously, need to re-sign Draymond Green eventually too. But yeah, like you take a bit of a hit at their big man spot. I think they should look to possibly match it. I know they got Porzingis, but his health, yeah, that could get unreliable times. Al Horford, it's impressive how he could keep having some good games as he's getting old, but still like an old player, like the oldest player in the league. And so, I think it would help having him still as a young center. So we'll see what happens there. But if they don't match him, I'm thinking, well, it, the main reason I guess would be for money for LeBron, or if they don't get LeBron, well, maybe they try to go after DeMar DeRozan or something.
Yeah, we'll get to the DeMar stuff in a little bit. But yeah, Quentin Post, we'll see. I think good on the Grizzlies, I guess. I don't know if I ever thought Quentin Post was going to get a $10 million salary for 3 years, even though like he can prevent valuable things as a stretch five that can shoot threes at 6'11", 7 feet tall, whatever he is. So we'll see. We'll find out soon if the Warriors decide to match it. But he was a nice draft find for them at the 52nd overall pick. That would I think hurt the Warriors if they had to lose him for nothing, even though he had a bit of a drop off in this particular season. Let's see. I guess next, let's talk about DeMar DeRozan, who is now one of the better unrestricted free agents available after he was bought out by the Sacramento Kings. He had one more year guaranteed on his contract, but the Kings, after a horrible season that had them raise a banner in the Golden One Center from the Run in the Paint podcast on the Garbage Fire franchise of the season, decided to waive DeMar DeRozan after, wow, he spent 2 years in Sacramento. Still had a good season, even, they were tanking, but he played in 77 games. That's one thing about DeRozan. He's always been a very durable player, never really gets injured. And he still had a good scoring season. He averaged 18 points, shot 50% from the field, 87% from the line. One of the best mid-range scorers of, the last several years, one of the most consistent scorers, never been a big three-point shooter, but now on the market here, Ben. What do you think about this? DeMar DeRozan, a guy that I think could definitely provide some services to certain teams, but as we've seen, analytics are certainly a big part of the game, as we saw with the whole Jaylen Brown situation, and now you have a player that does not shoot threes. He's a mid-range scorer, and he's going to want his touches, even still at this point of his career.
Yeah, I was surprised he wanted to agree to being waived from the Kings, though. It stinks a bit that the Kings, that's just how I had to give DeMar, but it is what it is. And yeah, that I just mentioned the Warriors, like he would be able to get touches there if they didn't get LeBron and they somehow wanted to come up with an agreement. And yeah, I was thinking at first, like, the Lakers, but I heard the Lakers just recently said they weren't interested in him. So I don't think he'll go there. I mean, he's from the Los Angeles area, so yeah, I doubt the Clippers will have interest in him too. So thinking, well, he did enjoy his time in Toronto, and his buddy Kyle Lowry's, he's retiring there. I'm thinking there could possibly be some interest with that team, though. I think he had to come off the bench possibly, but if he was willing to do that and be on a competing team in the East, it could be cool. It could be a lot of fun. I really enjoy seeing him back there. It'd be funny how he would just be there with Kawhi in the same team after they got traded years ago if that happened. So yeah, and I mean also he does the Miami Heat. They might be able to get him on a cheaper deal. I know the Heat, they could show interest in a guy like that, though. I wouldn't think it would totally be the best fit there, but who knows?
Yeah, again, I mean, it's going to be so interesting to see who actually wants him because, again, like the 3-point shooting thing, the fact that he still has not developed one even this late into his career, like it's just, again, he can score on high volume, but as we've seen over several years, there's a ceiling on it. He doesn't him as your number one, number two guy doesn't take you to being a championship contender, really. I mean, the most they got was the Raptors made one conference final. Of course, if LeBron wasn't in the Eastern Conference, they're probably a finals team in several of those seasons. But you never know at this point. Like I would agree, Ben. I would expect him to come off the bench, even though like I love doing this for these old guys when it comes down to this time of their career. DeMar DeRozan hasn't come off the bench since the end of his rookie season in 2010. So it's been 16 years since DeMar DeRozan has come off the bench in a game. So, that's always a factor with guys like this. Like, are they willing to sacrifice and take a bit of a role for the betterment of the team, not close games? Are you still going to be, happy for your teammates, happy to be on the bench, cheer, and be in the game? Or are you going to be upset that, oh boy, it's finally my time. I'm on the bench here. I'm not playing. I should be out there for this guy. I'm better than this guy, So I'll be curious to see what teams will be interested. If I had to guess, it would be the Raptors, probably going back to the Raptors because if there's anything we know about Toronto, they do not care about the analytics thing. They have a ton of mid-range scores. I think it would be a decent fit there, but again, they're a team that because they have so many mid-range scores, they have a lack of three-point shooting. So I don't know if that's the right fit there. Like DeMar DeRozan is a similar player to his teammate Russell Westbrook, where like I don't know where those guys are going to end up on winning situations because they just don't really at this point they haven't shown to really contribute to winning at this stage of their career. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's done that much the winning. I don't totally know with him, but to go to Golden State, he would start there, so it could be something. I think it's mainly going to depend on how much money he wants and if he would be happy with the role of that team or not with what they're telling him.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, the money shouldn't play a factor because he still gets the money that he was making on this contract. With Sacramento, which was I want to say 25 million. Yes, $25.7 million for this next season. So he's still going to get all the money. So I think that's the thing with these buyout guys. It just depends on their priorities. If they want to win, if they want to still start, they want to just play in a non-rebuilding situation like Sacramento. Like we'll see what DeRozan prioritizes. Another thing on the Raptors. Kawhi Leonard, who they just reacquired, hired a new agent amid extension talks with the Raptors. We knew Kawhi was going to look to sign an extension back in Toronto. That's why he ended up being traded to the Raptors because Toronto is one of the teams that he was going to be interested in re-signing and decided to hire a new agent, move on from his uncle, I believe, Ben. So any thoughts on this?
Well, Yeah, I guess he believes this new age of figuring out the right contract thing or something. So I guess it's cool for him. I really got on this, and I expect them, to sign the extension with the Raptors coming up soon, of course.
Yep, I would definitely agree as well. I think that'll happen pretty soon. We did have we had a couple trades over the weekend, but we had one former number one overall pick get traded with DeAndre Ayton getting traded from the LA Lakers to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Jaden Hardy and two second round picks, the Wizards second round selections in 2031 and 2032. So Ben, what did you think about this? The Lakers deciding to move off of DeAndre Ayton after they made the move to bring in Walker Kessler. They lost Jackson Hayes. He goes to Utah. They essentially swap for one another. We were talking about how DeAndre Ayton could look in a backup role for the Lakers and how that could be better. But what this told me, Ben, is that the Lakers were so tired of having him on their team that they didn't care that they had a vacancy in the backup center. They just wanted him off their team, and they were able to acquire another offensive guard. Jaden Hardy's a good scorer, similar to Colin Sexton, who they brought in this offseason. Ben, what do you think about this move for the Lakers?
Yeah, I think the Lakers, they're now looking for a new pickup setter for agency, but yeah, it's fine for the Lakers. I mean, it's all right for now. I mean, he has some nice moments, and it is cool. Well, we'll get to play with one of his former teammates from when they did well in Dallas. So a bunch guy, Jaden Hardy, coming to the Lakers to come off the bench there. That's cool. So I think it's fine move for the Lakers. Fine for both teams. I think the Wizards, they had a gap at their backup center spot, so Eden could play the backup center there. That's a good backup center they got for them that helps them with their depth going into next year. So, I- yeah, I'm surprised about Eden the Wizards in this trade, but I think this sort of makes sense for both teams.
Yeah, I think time will tell on the Lakers thing because I don't know. I am a little iffy about it for the Lakers because I get that there were some rough moments with him. Like there's been with the other teams that he's been on so far. I mean, it kind of ended the same way with the Suns and the Trailblazers, and now the Lakers, where he puts up numbers, but sometimes the impact isn't always there, and he just does. He just doesn't play the best. I would say is last season's DeAndre, and he still put up 12 and a half points, 8 rebounds per game. It was the first time in his career that he didn't average a double-double. Like he's always been a good numbers guy. The most efficient season of his career, he shot 67% from the field. There weren't a whole lot of post-ups on offense. He was doing what he was asked to do a decent amount of times. He wasn't asking for post-ups. A lot of it was on offensive rebounds, off dump-offs from Luka and Reeves and LeBron. And I thought he was fine for the role that he was asked to be in. And again, I was curious to see how he was going to play as a backup center in a reduced role in coming up on a contract season where he's essentially playing for his career. Like if this didn't work out this next couple of year and he had another bad exit, then who knows if he's getting a big payday with another team in the future. But the Lakers decide to move off of that and they get another scoring guard who, yes, I get he played with Luka before, but you just signed Colin Sexton, who is a very similar player, and now you don't have a backup center at all. And the other guys you were looking to sign, there was Andre Drummond, who signed with the New York Knicks, who we'll talk about that a little bit later. Great signing for the Knicks. There's Jonas Valanciunas, who last season was looking to leave the NBA, go play overseas again. I think that's what he's going to do. And then you have like Kevon Looney, who's now going to enter his 12th season in the NBA and couldn't play for the New Orleans Pelicans. So I honestly do not like this trade at all for the Lakers because what are they going to do with their backup center now? It is completely non-existent.
Yeah, it's non-existent. Absolutely. Even if they did sign one, I mean, I don't think they would be better with Ayton. So yeah, it makes more sense to me now that this is a questionable, not great trade by LA. I mean, I didn't really see Ayton was having any beef with them from what I saw. This wasn't like the Portland situation. I think he was happy there, so I don't totally know why. And yeah, I mean the Lakers they loaded up with a lot of guards and aren't too tall. I question how that could all work out, especially defensively. I mean that's a concern I see with them. So yeah, it's questionable situation there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, again, with this trade, they were able to get in a couple second round picks that they could use to trade later, and maybe that's all they're looking for in this trade. But I don't know. I think that's not a I don't know if that's worth it if they're actually trying to win this season. Not having a backup center, I mean, they need to hope that they get Looney or Valanciunas somehow, which by the way are two slow guys that do not play that are not guys that you would typically think fit with a Luka Doncic type player that are lob threats. So I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go. But for the Wizards, yeah, DeAndre Ayton to the Wizards. I was just thinking about how crazy it is that DeAndre Ayton goes from, of course, the number one pick in the 2018 draft goes from playing with Luka to Trae Young, the two headline guys that were traded for each other. I think that's a cool wrinkle with this, but now another big, and I like this for the Wizards. Again, I'm excited to see what DeAndre Ayton does in a backup role with Anthony Davis and his injury history. Alex Sarr going through an injury this offseason. You're not sure how many guys, how many games that they can play. DeAndre Ayton as a spot starter won't be bad as a primary reserve. And even their third string center, Tristan Vukcevic, a very underrated center who's got to play a lot while the Wizards were tanking. Nice stretch five piece for them. So they've got a nice four big kind of rotation that they've got there in Washington, which is super important, of course, in this league and in this Eastern Conference where you're going to have to go up against a lot of bigs if you want to compete.
Yeah, that's true. And Aiden, yeah, he's not the best defender. Could give them some good offense off the bench. So yeah, I think he fits in all right there, and he's not too old yet. And well, even Davis wished he got more help at center with the Lakers. Well, the Lakers helped him out, but on a different team. How about that?
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look again. This Wizards team with AJ DeBonsa, Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Alex Sark, Keyshawn George, the bench with the young guys with Bob Carrington, Trey Johnson, Koulibaly. Like they're just a very interesting team. Like again, them and the Utah Jazz are the two unknown teams of the league as far as these young teams that could emerge, just because we haven't seen them before really on the floor here. And looking back at last season's Eastern Conference, I talked earlier about how crazy the Eastern Conference is with all the teams that are looking to get better, with teams in the play-in like Miami and Philly making moves to get better, Orlando changing their head coach, and Charlotte trying to do addition by subtraction moves. Just how crazy the Eastern Conference is going to be, and the Wizards. I'm just so curious, Ben, to see how good they could possibly be because they are the team right now in the East. We have no idea what we could get from this team.
Yeah, well, they could be one of the toughest predictions going into the year. We might be mixed on them on the season predictions. Who knows? But um, yeah, it's definitely a lot of potential with that team. They could make some noise and surprise some people, and they got to stay healthy too, of course. But the potential is definitely there, and they have an exciting future. They got their hopefully future young star player and AJ DeBonsa number one to build around. So they're in a good spot though. I mean, but it's just crazy. Yeah, they're gonna. It's still not gonna be easy for them just because of how good the East is. But I mean, who knows what could happen in the East? It's a tough conference to possibly predict.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'd expect that a lot of people, just for the simple fact that we haven't seen the Wizards yet, would probably rank them like 11th or 12th in the Eastern Conference right now. Because even like the right now, like I think we said it a few times earlier throughout, that the three worst teams in the Eastern Conference heading into next year, the three rebuilding teams that you'd expect are the 11 through 13 teams, the Bucks, the Bulls, and the Nets. The Pacers are obviously going to be back with Tyrese Halliburton available. Still curious to see how they're going to play with Zubats as the five. Curious to see how he'll be able to fit with their fast-paced style, and he's a slow-paced center. Then you have the Wizards, and the Wizards. I get people might put them 12th just because they haven't seen them before, as compared to the other 10 teams in the East that just made the postseason. So again, I think this is going to have the potential to be the deepest Eastern Conference in NBA history, and I cannot wait to see what turns out. I think our predictions heading into the season for who's going to come out of the Eastern Conference, the standings could all be completely different. I'm already
Yeah.
super excited for that in 2-3 months to make those predictions.
Yeah, I know that might be crazy video with some hot takes in it.
Yeah. The Wizards also hired Patrick Ewing and Steve Clifford to be on their coaching staff. Patrick Ewing as an assistant coach and Steve Clifford as a coaching advisor, kind of similar to what Frank Vogel does for the Dallas Mavericks. Not sure if he'll live in DC or be with the team all the time because Frank Vogel, I believe, still lives in Los Angeles, even though he is with the or was with the Mavericks. Was on Jason Kidd's staff. But we'll see. That's good that the Wizards are hiring, these big names. How good is that? You have Patrick Ewing to teach Alex Sarr and work with Anthony Davis still, and DeAndre Ayton and a former legend that can, along with Trey Young and Anthony Davis, and even DeAndre Ayton as a former number one overall pick. Uh, you know, Mentor AJ DeBonsa with that life of being a top pick, even to a much lesser scale. If D'Angelo Russell's on the team as a number two overall pick, like they have a lot of guys that have gone through different things, and they can teach AJ DeBonsa a lot of different things. So
Yep.
definitely like what the
So
Wizards are doing.
they have you know, DeAndre Ayton. They have he used to be a number one pick though. He hasn't been out the best for that, but I mean, he could still teach AJ a bit. And Anthony Davis is the number one pick. He could really teach AJ well with that. So I mean, there's a good amount of people there for number one picks, which is funny with that team.
Yeah, but I think it'll only help them going forward. So good on the Wizards. Very good offseason so far. Free agent news: the LA Clippers signed Rui Hachimura for 2 years, 28 million. This is a guy that a very sought after free agent who just had an incredible, really 3-year run with the Lakers as far as becoming an elite three-point shooter. This guy had each of the last 3 seasons has shot 41% or better from three, including the playoffs this year where he shot 57%. It's unbelievable. Rui Hachimura, he's been in the playoffs 5 times. He's played in 41 games. And Rui Hachimura holds the NBA record for the highest career three-point percentage in the playoffs. He shoots 52% from three in the playoffs. Rui Hachimura, the best three-point shooter in playoff history percentage-wise. But he goes to the Clippers. It was reported that he prioritized staying in LA, not for the Lakers. Clippers were able to give him some more money, and they could give him an interesting role. They may not be competing for as much, as the Lakers were, but Rui to the Clippers, Ben. What do you think of this?
Yeah, was too expensive of a deal for the Clippers, and I really like for them. They had a gap at the fourth spot after losing John Collins, so he can slide in and start there. And yeah, he's a great 3-point shooter. He's not too old yet. I think he fits in good there. I like the pairing. I think the Clippers. They'll be a fun young team. I mean, I they could surprise some people still. They have some talent there with him and Ingram and Garland and and Keith Wagler obviously now where they just drafted. So there's some fun stuff going for them, and I have been impressed with what they have done this offseason, the Clippers, and uh yeah, now Rui's on the other side of the battle of LA, which is funny. I think, losing Rui, I think that hurts the Lakers that they aren't gonna have a back. He had a nice playoffs for them last year. Like he was a nice, like second option scoring next to LeBron, in that Rockets series, which they won.
Yeah, and I know that the thing that's been going around, and I would have to go back and do some serious research to find out if this is actually, how true this would be. But like, I don't know the last time that a team won a playoff series and then completely lost their whole starting five from the playoff series. Like, you look at them in the Rockets, it was Marcus Smart, who's now a Rocket, Luke Kennard, who's now a Sun, LeBron, who obviously is not going back to the Lakers, Rui, who's now with the Clippers, and DeAndre Ayton, who's now with the Wizards. Incredible. Their entire playoff starting five from that series is gone. It's unbelievable. I don't know if we've ever seen that before with the entire starting five gone the same summer that you win a series. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, they're in an interesting situation, interesting route, but obviously, Luca being hurt played a big part of that, and Reeves is still great. They didn't have him for the Rockets series fun came back in the OKC one, so they'll be pretty talented, but it is crazy how it just has ended up working that way for that team.
Yeah, it really is. Some other low-key free agent signings. The New York Knicks signed Andre Drummond to the one-year minimum deal. The Knicks who lost Mitchell Robinson to Boston over the summer. They didn't pay enough money or they weren't going to spend a lot of money to really bring him back and go in the second apron. They paid Jose Alvarado and Landry Shamet, and they got Andre Drummond on a cheaper deal. This was something that I was kind of hinting at in the last podcast that could be a possibility and ends up happening. Ben, what do you think of the Knicks being able to bring in Andre Drummond on the minimum?
Yeah, they wanted to go cheaper. That was just the way they were. Tough losing Mitchell Robinson with his defensive rebounding, but it's not too big of a drop off to Drummond. I still think Drummond is a good backup center. He's getting old. I get it, but I think he could have a few good years for the Knicks coming off the bench, and it's not a bad option behind Carl Anthony Towns. He could do some good rebounding. He could play some defense, so I think he can fit in fine with that team.
Yeah, I think an incredible signing from the Knicks. I mean, Drummond was going to be a big acquisition for whichever team got him, whether it was the Knicks or the Lakers. We'll see how it pans out because, these guys are on minimum deals for a reason. Drummond is heading into year Goodness gracious. Next season's gonna be year 15 for Andre Drummond. That's crazy.
Wow.
But you never know how these guys are gonna work out, at this stage of their career. But on paper, the fit is awesome. I mean, you lose one of the best, probably the best offensive rebounder in the game in Mitchell Robinson. Just bring in one of the best rebounders of all time in Andre Drummond, who still does it at a great level. He averaged 8 rebounds per game last season, literally the same amount of rebounds and the same amount of minutes that Mitchell Robinson did for the Knicks last season. He's not as great of a defensive presence, as Mitchell Robinson was. I think that'll be the biggest thing that they lose from him. But I think that gets fixed when you consider that. And this is going to be funny to say, considering this is Andre Drummond we're talking about, Ben. But I don't think we're going to be seeing Hacka Drummonds like we were seeing Hacka Mitches or like we would have seen Hacka Drummonds 10 years ago. Like Drummond
Yeah.
has improved his free throw shooting from pretty much where Mitchell Robinson was to now he's consistently in like the 60% range on free throw shooting, which is like golly, that's awful. Teams may still look to expose that. But I'll tell you what, Ben, 60% is way better than 30%, 40% that Mitchell Robinson was shooting.
Yeah.
And Drummond added the three last season with the Sixers. So I think that, we'll see if this actually improves the Knicks. Again, the defense, I think, will be a big loss with Mitchell Robinson, especially because he was kind of your defensive release valve and kind of your player that you would break in glass of emergency when Karl Anthony Towns wasn't working out. And now you kind of downgrade to, again, Drummond, who, he puts up good defensive numbers, but sometimes he falls asleep a little bit himself. So very curious to see how this affects the Knicks, of course, defending champions next season, how this will affect their interior defense, because I do think that it did get worse with losing Robinson and bringing in Drummond.
Yeah, defense. Yeah, it takes a step back there, but he's a decent defender. He's not too bad. So yeah, I mean, for getting him for a minimum, that's a great deal there with Andre Drummond.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say that unless LeBron signs for the minimum, I would expect that this is the best minimum signing in the league, because this definitely, helps them. Um, Other quick free agent news, some transactions the last few days. The Celtics extended starting center Neemias Queta for 4 years, $56 million. A terrific story there. Is going to be their starting center going forward. Had a great season last year. The Pistons re-signed Javonte Green for the 1 year minimum. The Utah Jazz signed Josh Okogie, who's been with the Rockets the last couple of years, for 2 years, $12 million. Houston traded Dorian Finney-Smith and 3 second-round picks to the Charlotte Hornets. And the Minnesota Timberwolves signed power forward Trey Lyles, who I believe last season was playing overseas, was out of the league. But they, of course, they're a team that lacked power forward depth. They decided to bring him in to be on their team. So, Ben, any thoughts on any of those transactions?
I Yeah, those weren't really anything too crazy. I like the addition to the Jets, just some more good defense off the bench. I think helps them in trade Lyles. I somehow didn't even know about that one. Usually I know about them. I didn't even know that happened, but that now that's fine for Minnesota. At least a power forward, though, not really a great option, I believe. But it's cool to see him back in the league, and maybe they get a little something out of him. Well, we'll see. And yeah, I'm not surprised Rockets moved on for Finney Smith. I think it's good he found a new home in Charlotte. I mean, if maybe Smith can get a better free ball back on the Hornets, were to be looking to shoot the free ball and place good perimeter defense for them. It just didn't work out in Houston, obviously. So yeah, smaller moves that just came up there.
Yeah, the Dorian Finney-Smith thing was just very unfortunate for the Rockets, because that was, in theory, the perfect signing for them, because he fit with their team perfectly. I mean, but it's kind of like us Cavs fans with the Lonzo Ball thing. The shot was just not falling, and because of that, they were brutal, for what they were on the floor, and you had to get off of them. And the Rockets, I'm surprised that they were actually able to get off of this deal after just 1 year. There was a 4 year, like $60 million deal that they signed him to. So credit to the Rockets for, even though they had to give up 3 seconds, they go to the Hornets. Then the Hornets now have a whole bunch of draft picks, first and second round picks. But I think it's a win-win for both trades, because I did not think the Rockets were going to be able to trade away this contract after one season because of how bad Finney Smith was for them. Unfortunately, I'd have to ask our buddy Jackson Goglin this, but I would have to say this is the worst. This was the worst contract that the Rockets have ever handed out in free agency. But good on them again that they were able to trade it just 1 year in.
Yeah, they got lucky with that. Lucky for big contract thing. Take that all day, I guess.
Well, and Ben, so the Trey Lyles thing, it's funny you said that because there was actually another transaction that I came across earlier today that there were no like I didn't get any notifications about that I didn't even know about. Did you know, Ben, that the Pistons traded away point guard their backup point guard Marcus Sasser to the Mavericks?
Oh wait, yeah, I heard a rumor about that. I didn't know that officially happened. That's funny.
I think it actually happened, but I didn't even
Yeah,
know.
that's funny.
No, that's funny. Shams, Chris Haynes, come on, get on it. Come on. We got to know every
Yeah,
single little thing, man. Oh man, but that's all the transaction. Those are all the transactions that have happened over the last few days. We're now getting excited, Ben, because basketball is coming back for the summer. We're starting to get to see these young prospects in the league play for the first time in the NBA Summer League. Now, the official Las Vegas Summer League, the big summer league where Joey and Nick are going to be in attendance. Hopefully, we'll be able to get them on the podcast from Vegas on a Friday. But Vegas Summer League starts on this Thursday, July 9th. But we've already had leagues, the California Classic in Golden State and Sacramento, and we've had the Salt Lake City Summer League there in Utah, where some of these top prospects like Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer have been making their debuts. And my goodness, Ben, those two guys just battled for the first time, and holy moly, they look unbelievable already.
yeah. I watched that game before the podcast, and both it looked fantastic. Derek Peterson for his first two games has been phenomenal. Just his playmaking's been fantastic. He's shooting it well from free, hitting tough shots. I mean, Derek Peterson, he's started to get comfortable quick out there. He's impressive. I really like that guy a lot. And Cam Boozer, yeah, he had a decent, first game with 15 points, but looked even better in the second one. You like to see that improvement against the Jazz. I mean, I thought Darren Peterson looked even better in that game against Cam Boozer too. And yeah, Boozer, I watched it, and he's a good 3-point shot going already. He was knocking down open threes, and he's making some smart plays out there for his teammates. So he seemed to be even more comfortable in this game for him. So yeah, but it was a lot of fun watching them both, and it's quite an exciting rookie class. So happy now I could start watching these guys.
Yeah, and those the Peterson and Boozer are just so impressive. Like I mentioned how great it was to just watching Cameron Boozer highlights and now seeing the games of just how incredible of a passer he is already, and that you see him doing everything on the floor. And if he is going to shoot threes like this, then I mean, he's going to be an incredible player in this draft. Like you can make the case. I mean, we're going to start doing on this podcast some redrafts of some old draft classes, and I'm curious to see who will consider the best players from some of these draft classes. I think there might be a world where down the line, if Cameron Boozer becomes someone that can do everything on the floor and eventually it leads to winning, he can, come out as the best player of this draft class, or maybe not, because there are some other incredible guys like Darren Peterson, who, like I'm saying with Cameron Boozer, he can do a little bit of everything with passing. He was shooting. He can take you in the post. He's strong. Darren Peterson can score in every way, and it is incredible to watch. I think that there could be a ceiling where Darren Peterson leads the league in scoring someday. Like these guys have unbelievable potential, and this is going to be fun that we're getting to see them in the NBA. For the first time in summer league.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. And yeah, Darren Peterson, wow, I, I think he might he has the potential to maybe be like the next Kobe or like SGA, something like that. Uh, I'm feeling confident in him. He might be, after LeBron's gone, the next great, star player, hopefully from Northeast Ohio and Ohio. I hope I get to see that from him. I like his attitude a lot too. He had that nice performance in the first game, but he talked, he wasn't totally satisfied with it. This guy, he's just hungry for improvement, even if he's like doing well. He's great.
Yeah, I mean, I was seeing on social media someone posted that this summer league game we were watching the next Kobe versus Tim Duncan
I saw that.
matchup. And listen, obviously anything like that is going to sound crazy before they've even played in an NBA game, and you never want to overreact. But there, who knows? That might be the world where Cam Boozer is the 2020s 2030s version of Tim Duncan, and like you said, Peterson can be the 2030s version of Kobe, because I still think Shea has that title right now because Shea is very similar to him. But we'll see. We're gonna have hopefully a long, long time of watching these two guys battle. In the same conference. Maybe we'll see Jazz Grizzlies battles in the playoffs, and someday, 5, 10, 15 years from now, we'll be coming back to this summer league game and being like, man, this was the start of something special.
Yeah, I hope so. But hope remember the feature. Or watch these guys and like they're somehow the feature like up there from one of the two better players in the league. We'll see on that.
Yes, we will. But again, the Las Vegas Summer League begins on Thursday. With the big games there on the campus of UNLV. The big games to watch for there, I would definitely say. I mean, well, oh, I didn't even realize at 7 p.m. Golden State is taking on Dallas, so we'll get to see the two former Michigan Wolverines play against each other with Yaxel Landenberg and Merez Johnson there. But then 9 p.m. when Utah takes on Washington, the two top picks, Peterson, like we just spoke of, and AJ DeBonsa for the first time. So that's going to be, a ton of fun. And then even the late game, if you're staying up till 11 o'clock p.m. to watch the late game in Vegas, the Sacramento Kings and the LA Clippers. You've got the two later point guards with Keaton Wagler and Darius Acuff battling each other there. So gonna be fun, especially these first few days of summer league where all these guys are going to be playing. It's never a guarantee later on where you don't want to risk injury with these guys, but these are the first few nights that you definitely want to be watching to see these guys on an NBA floor for the first time.
Yeah, but it's always really exciting when it gets started off, and I really excited that Joey and Nick will get to experience some of these games. I'm curious to find out which ones they're actually in attendance at and get to see in person. Hopefully, could have a good perspective on that. Maybe on the podcast, we'll see. But yeah, the NBA they seem to do good once again at scheduling. Some big, summer league matchup with some fun storyline matches like the Michigan guys and the number one and number two picks. They usually seem pretty much every year to try to get the number one, number two picks to face off, and other guys with top picks will be facing off. I did see the Bulls and Grizzlies matchup coming up too. Wilson versus Boozer will be a lot of fun to me too. I you know can't wait to see Wilson there too, and down there. That'll be on Friday night. The Bulls will play the Grizzlies at 8 p.m. There, so that'll be an exciting one too. And yeah, there should be some fun teams. Curious to see the Nets. I like their backcourt a lot in the summer league if they're playing together. Igor Demon and Mikel Brown Jr. It's pretty good second year guys like Cedric Coward on the Grizzlies and like Igor Demon, who I mentioned, who could go off, and summer league second year guys. They could seem to look just even more comfortable out there and could give them an edge of these games. And I'm excited to see what could happen there.
Yeah, and the Nets have already been playing, some games in the California Classic where you've seen that with, Yegor Dioman and There was the one viral play of Mikhail Brown with the ankle breaker and then the wild assist that he had to the corner. Like, it's always a lot of fun. I would suspect that Joey and Nick, the three games that those three primetime matchups on Thursday that are I would assume would be in the Thomas and Mack Center, the big gym there in UNLV. I would expect that they are going to be staying in that arena for a good 7-8 hours on Thursday to watch all
Yeah.
those games. But from Summer League, I was mentioning that today we're going to start a redraft, redrafting some old NBA draft class. We're going to do that throughout the summer. And, of course, it's a lot of fun to go back and, see how players live up to their pick, what steals of the draft there are, and to try to rank them. We've never done it before on the podcast, and we are going to start today with the 2019 draft class, a draft class that is probably one of the more controversial draft classes recently because it was so hyped up coming in, but the top picks have had their fair shares of disappointments throughout different moments. Again, this is the draft class where you had the three Duke guys with Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, and Cam Reddish, who were super hyped up coming into the league. Ja Morant was the second overall pick. It was a crazy hyped up draft class coming in. So Ben, we're gonna redraft them. We're gonna draft the lottery here to the top 14 teams. So Ben, we're gonna start off with you with the first pick of our 2019 NBA redraft. Where are you gonna go with this? I'm very curious.
Yeah, it's tough. It's interesting. None of these players have turned out anything too crazy. I thought Moran or Zion maybe could, but not too crazy for what's going on. But yeah, still gonna give Ja Moran. I guess he.
Oh, you're picking him first.
Yeah, I know he just got traded for low value, but I mean he kind of got put in a bad spot later on in Memphis. He had some really good years, and they were rebuilding multiple years ago to try to help them get back to more contention before things fell off. But yeah, I lean him. It's tricky though, but I still think he's still like the most talented one when he play at times out of this class.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would probably say it's a super tough thing to figure out, but I would probably say that he has had the best career so far. When you look at he's had the highest peak so far of all these players, with a chance to be a perennial All NBA, All Star, MVP candidate, but unfortunately things just haven't really worked out, and he's only ended up being a two-time All-Star. He was most improved player. Yeah, it's crazy. He hasn't gotten any accolades since the 22-23 season, his fourth season in the league, and then injuries, suspensions have really dropped off. And yeah, as Ben said, this just a few days ago got traded. Now is going to be on the Portland Trailblazers, so we'll see how that fits out there. Um, Geez, I mean, I think the second overall pick. Again, this is super tough. I think I am still going to go with Zion number 2, even though he has been super injury prone. But look, and he hasn't played a playoff game yet. But look, when he plays, he is still a monster. The numbers that he has put up for his career are still incredibly impressive. He averages the most points per game in this draft class. Was he second in rebounds? Always, a decent playmaker. And I've always been impressed with how he manages to be super efficient from the field as a guy that, of course, lives in the paint, but they're not easy layups that he's taking inside. So I think that he still deserves to go second, and I hope that he does get a chance at some point to play in big games. I mean, it's a tough situation in New Orleans with all the injuries, and of course, he's the biggest face of that. But overall, I think that shows how wild this draft class is when still, I think these are the two top guys.
Yeah, it's funny there, and let's see. Number 3, looked at a few guys, but uh, debating between 2 guards, but yeah, Tyler here somehow fell 13th. I'm going with him at number 3. Crazy, yeah, he got a nice steal there, and I think so far, yeah, he's been a pretty good scorer in his career. He played well overall when healthy on the Heat, but they then just moved for Giannis, which worth it for Giannis for that team. But I'm excited to see how we could do like now was a number one option on his you know hometown team growing up the Milwaukee Bucks, and he could potentially put up some big numbers with that there, and curious to see how that pans out.
Yep, Tyler Hero, who I'd say is probably the most winning player here. I mean, he's been on 2 finals teams, another conference finals team, but another guy where injuries have kind of derailed him as well. I mean, he was injured. He only played in 15 or no 19 minutes in the 8th seed Heat's run to the finals in 2023. I mean, he's been injured a lot, but he is an all-star. He won 6th man of the year. Was I want to say that one of the youngest players to ever start a finals game, starting in the finals in the bubble as a rookie. And has become a very good all-around player. So yeah, him at number 3, definitely fair on that. I will say though, I do think the guy I'm gonna take, I think he has had a better career than Tyler here up to this point, and I'm gonna go at number 4 with DG the PG, Darius Garland. I'll go with Darius Garland, who's been a 2-time All-Star. He's also been on winning teams, and he has been an excellent engine offensively. Now, defensively, of course, is another thing. He's obviously limited with him only being 6'1", but an electrifying shooter, playmaker, at sometimes finisher. His floaters are lethal. And I mean, overall, I mean, throughout his career, he's been a winning player with this Cavalier team. Who, similar to some other players that we've talked about here, was just recently traded, although he was traded at the trade deadline to the Clippers in the James Harden trade. And now we'll see how he plays going forward. But, I think, his career overall, I think him and I guess him and Tyler Hero are the most winning players of this draft class right now, at least of the top players. So I'll go with our boy, or at least our former boy, Darius Garland at number 4.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, he had a nice career. I mean, turned out to be a good right draft pick there, at least from the Cavs. So that was a big win for that time. Kobe Altman more earlier on as the president of basketball operations with the Cavs, and let's see, number 5. Ooh, some interesting options here. Had a few guys, but started to get an idea. Yeah, I think I know who I want to go here, and I'm gonna go RJ Barrett at number 5. Who,
Good
yeah, I
pick.
mean, he hasn't had too crazy of a career, but a good career. I mean, he looked good and improved on the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks started, getting competitive and good when he was still there. Then he went to Toronto, and he's helped Toronto get back to being more competitive and good, and had a nice playoff series just this past year against the Cavs to make that series go long. Though they still lost it, but he had that crazy buzzer beater in Game 6, which was insane. So yeah, Barrett, um, good player. I thought possibly could have been a bit more better than what he's been so far at the time of that draft, but still he's been a good player.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see by the end of this where how different these are from the way the draft went. So far, we switched Zion and Ja. Heroes made a huge jump. Garland went one higher, and Barrett has gone two lower. Yeah, RJ Barrett, has put up all-star caliber numbers, but has never really been close to being an all-star. But definitely was an all-star, of the first round of the playoffs this past season against the Cavs. He was unbelievable. He was fantastic with his numbers: 24 points, 7 boards, 4 assists per game. The game winner, like you said, in Game 6 of that series to keep their season alive. I think certainly is still done enough to still be up here. He certainly is a good player, and I'm glad that he is getting a chance to play for his hometown Raptors, and getting to shine on the big stage. And who knows, maybe after next season, if the Raptors can win now that Kawhi Leonard's back on the team, who knows, maybe RJ Barrett is higher on this redraft going forward. At number 6, this is where things get interesting because there's definitely, I'd say, a drop off after these first 5 players. The rest of these guys, all these guys are definitely role players. You'd consider them to be, at this point. But I'd say for the overall career, and I've been mentioning winning a lot on here and roles to winning, I'm gonna go with is this the only NBA champion from this draft class? I'm doing a quick look here. I think so. Yes, I believe this is the only champion of the draft class. Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole, I think, is gonna go number 6. Jordan Poole, who was the 28th pick in the draft, goes 6th in our redraft. Of course, this past season with the Pelicans, it was a disaster. He had a year with the Wizards where it was a disaster. But what he was doing with the Warriors, becoming a 20-point scorer with Steph and Clay on that dynasty team, and becoming a pivotal part of them winning the 2022 finals, including 2 buzzer-beating threes in that final series. He hit basically a half-court shot in Game 2 and a huge shot in Game 5, which were both Warriors home games, so that gave them a ton of momentum to win those games. I think he was an incredible player. Of course, then Draymond Green had to punch Jordan Poole in the preseason after winning the championship, and things just really had never been the same. He had a decent season in his second year with Washington, where he averaged 20 points per game, and he's always a decent scorer. This year was just kind of a disaster, but I'm not going to hold that against him. I think overall he's been a very solid player and a good scorer and a good shooter. And again, he won a title as a key piece on the team.
Yeah, it's not a bad option there. I can get it. Yeah, it's been rough. I agree. The last multiple years, it's been unfortunate for him since leaving Golden State. But yeah, he played well in Golden State. He's a champion at least. One guy that has a ring at least I'm seeing from this class.
Yeah, looks like it. All right, who are you going with number 7?
Number 7, let's see. Some decent options. It's tough. But I think I'll go with Nikhil Alexander Walker actually because he's it took him a while to get adjusted in the NBA, but he then once he got to the Timberwolves off the Pelicans, became a pretty good role player there with his defense and the good shooting at times. I mean, last year with the Atlanta Hawks, I mean, he took a big jump, most improved player of the year. He he turned into like a pretty good scorer. He had the ball in his hands a lot, so he's really improved. And I mean, if he keeps playing well and improving more, I mean, he could maybe be higher on a redraft like this potentially with how things maybe could go in the future. So overall, he's had a good career so far. I mean, things to the pin out that crazy with the Pelicans, but yeah, with how good he's been, yeah, I mean, he fell lower, 17 in that draft.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Nikhil Alexander Walker can build off of the season that he had last year. It kind of dipped off a bit in the playoffs, but he had a very good season. And I definitely think if he can build off a couple more of those seasons, he won't end up being better than his cousin, which I know, obviously in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, but think he can still, be a very good player as a two-way guy that last year averaged, 21 points a game. So I think that definitely is a decent pick there. Number 8. Number 8. There again, we're in the role player portion of this where there are a lot of different guys that you can go with. I think I'll go with the most accomplished guy that's available here. Probably the only guy left that has won a significant award, and that is Keldon Johnson, who just won Sixth Man of the Year for the San Antonio Spurs. Was a key piece for them going to the NBA Finals this season. I know that there were times where he did struggle, in different moments, but overall, what he's been able to do for that Spurs team, he started there as an energy guy. He was a good rebounder for his size, and then became a 20+ point per game scorer on a bad Spurs team, but then took a step back and became a perfect energy guy, to lead the Spurs second unit this season on a 60-win season. So I think of these guys that are still available, I think that he's probably the most accomplished with being the sixth man of the year on a finals team who has had was at an earlier point of his career a number one option. So I'll go Keldon Johnson with the 8th pick.
Yeah, yeah, he's been more of a winner from this class too, so it's not a bad option there. And yeah, now we're at number 9. 9 still role players, obviously. See, uh, good role players. I do think though I am gonna go Rui Hachimura here, who was just great in these past playoffs. Yeah, he was all right in Washington, but he turned into a nice role player who would sometimes have some big scoring nights for the Los Angeles Lakers, and he actually went number 9 in that draft. First guy right on the spot, so he got picked in the right range, which was funny. And that draft. I mean, Zion and Rant sort of did too, but I mean, we just flipped their spots. But yeah, Hachimura, good role player. I guess sort of turned out what people thought he could have possibly been from the draft even back then.
Yeah, Rui Hachimura, we talked about him before. Great 3-point shooter. I don't know if anyone would have expected his shot to get this good. I think he may even be better than people expected him to be coming into the league. But I definitely like what we've seen from Rui so far in his career. Number 10 is where I think I'll go with another score. I'll go with Kobe White at number 10, who was picked number 7 originally in this draft. Spent majority of his career with the Bulls. The teams, they've never been in great positions to be successful. But he's been a terrific scorer for them. He's had, a few years, these last few, where he's averaged 19, 20 points, 17 points per game. Has thrived in a six-man role. He just got traded to a winning Hornets team and was good for them, was their hero in the play-in game this season. So even in brief moments, he's shown that he can contribute on winning teams. And, I think that he deserves to go right here. The top 10, certainly, a nice value pick there at number 10.
Yeah, good value there. And yeah, I guess we're still going here. Number 11.
Yeah, we're going top 14, like a lottery.
Like a lottery. I like that. Yeah, I got another pick here. Let's see. Uh, yeah, I looking here and I yeah, I think I know who I'm gonna want to go with. I think I'm gonna go with Cameron Johnson. Funny enough, he was picked number 11 in that draft by the Phoenix Suns, and you know, he was able to fit in well with the Suns to start his career. He did. He was on the team when they went to the finals, though they lost it against the Bucks. So he had some winning there been on Brooklyn, like when he had more opportunities to get the ball, he had some pretty good scoring games and stuff. In Denver, he's been okay. Bit disappointing there. That has worked out the best so far. Maybe he bounces back if he's still somehow there next season, but overall, he's had a solid career and been like around that spot based on how his career's gone.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely would agree. I mean, he, was someone that was, thought to be thought to have gone way too high because he was an older player that was picked at number 11. Even his UNC teammate Cam Johnson was Kobe White, who was just picked one spot ahead of him here in this redraft, was super excited and ecstatic for him when he got picked at 11th. And he has shown to have that type of value in his career. At number 12, I'll go with the guy that was picked at number 12. I'll go with PJ Washington, who has shown to be a nice versatile player as well. And he was a starter on a finals team with the Mavericks a couple years ago and was a pivotal piece to them making the finals with his incredible 3-point shooting in the second round of that playoffs against Oklahoma City, and really helped turn around that Dallas defense with Luka and Kyrie midway through the season. And then even, he put up good numbers with the Hornets, didn't really lead to winning, but, he's turned out to become a very solid player, good rebounder, solid 3-point shooter, can do a little bit of everything for you on the court.
Yeah, a little bit of everything for sure. Maybe he gets traded to a new team coming up for next year. He got a lot of power forwards where he's at now, but yeah, he's just been like a solid, good role player guy. I think uh 13, my last pick to get to make. Let's see here. I, I'm thinking one third school with this. And yeah, both of these guys weren't on the Cavs that long ago. I think my own team sort of with this. You might know where I'm going. I- I'm gonna give the Ty Jerome here at 13 because I know
Oh, really?
I know he sort of got off to a slower start, but like when he's played these last few years, his scoring's looked pretty good. Like on the Cavs, he was like one of the better six men when he was here. He started bouncing back when he came to the Cavs, and I believe on Memphis he could be good there. Like he banged up on Memphis and a lot of this past year, but when he played, he was pretty good, and I had him in fantasy basketball. I think some parts, and he put up some good numbers in that. So I like Ty Jerome though. Yeah, it's close between him and his friend DeAndre Hunter, I guess for me.
Wow. I'm actually kind of surprised considering he's really only had 2 good seasons. But I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, we'll see. I mean, if he can keep on going. I mean, I think he'll have to prove a little bit more of this. But he's definitely worthy of being around this area. This is tough now because I was between DeAndre Hunter. I was hoping he was going to go 13 so that this would be easier because I don't feel right that we do not have a single center on here. We don't have an actual big guy on here, which I guess, just speaks to the draft class that there really hasn't been anything crazy. So I guess just for that, because I do think we should have a center on here. And I think, they're comparable to DeAndre Hunter's career because DeAndre Hunter's kind of been for the most part, a good stats, bad team kind of guy besides that half season with the Cavs a couple seasons ago now. But I will go with I'm between Nick Claxton and Daniel Gafford right now. And I'll go with Daniel Gafford. I think that Daniel Gafford has had a very solid career. He's the prototypical player that you want in the league. Um, and I think that he's a good lob catcher, good rebounder, very good energy guy. And I'd prefer to have him on my team because of the energy that he can provide, the positive energy that he can provide aside from some of these other guys. But this is our redraft, I guess the very the runner-ups, I guess you could say, for this redraft would be DeAndre Hunter, I guess Kevin Porter Jr., Nick Claxton for sure, probably Grant Williams, rest in peace, Brandon Clark, Jackson Hayes. I guess those would be Bull. Shout out to Bull. I guess those are your runner-ups. But overall, this is our redraft with John Zion going 1 and 2. I guess the big thing to that you can tell here, the biggest jump ups, I guess you would say, Hero going from 13 to 3, Jordan Poole from 28 to 6, Keldon Johnson from 29 to 8, and I guess Daniel Gafford, I mean 38 to 14 on this list. I think are definitely the biggest jump ups there. So there we go. There's our first redraft, Ben. What do you think of this redraft?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of fun and nothing. And yeah, it was sort of a tough redraft, like when you get to these role players, multiple of these guys weren't too far off from each other, so I just had to go who, I thought I leaned with on these. And yeah, I mean, overall, looking at this draft, I think it was a draft, with, just, star talent at the top that, it panned out totally the best in ways, but then after that, like, multiple pretty good role player career type of guys.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I would say out there to anyone going to, I guess, NBA bar trivias or whatever, if anyone asks you questions about the 2019 draft class, just remember that the three players that have made multiple All-Star games from this draft class are Ja, Zion, and Garland, and the only champion is Jordan Poole, which is I think kind of surprising that Jordan Poole's the only champion out of this group, but that is the case. But that is it for our 2019 redraft and for this episode. Ben, you have anything else before we get out of here?
Uh, no, I don't. Hope you guys enjoyed the redraft stuff.
Yep, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. I guess last thing I'll say, like we've said for during Cavs playoff games, I don't know if we've said it on this podcast about the LeBron thing. Hopefully at some point we can come back on this podcast happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, maybe something later this week, or who knows? It was around like dates where he's made a decision and passed. Not sure, though. We'll see. But I think it still is gonna be some time. He's taking his time with this, but obviously it'd be crazy and a lot of fun if we somehow do the decision on the next episode, which may be possible. Who knows?
yeah, it'll happen at some point, but hopefully it happens sooner than later for LeBron. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.